today's show is focused on big news. This semi is here. This is Greg for Teslafaninsight in beautiful San Diego, California. I hope the noise isn't too bad in the background. We'll do more with the mic. Also wanted to note the surfers doing their thing here in the early morning hours. So the focus of our show, wanted to encourage you, if you enjoy the show, to like and subscribe. I also wanted to encourage you to join us on Patreon if you'd like trading ideas and suggestions. We have an everyday program for our highest level Patreon supporters, but I think you'll find the information provided will be helpful in your growth of earnings, profits, etc. So today's focus is the fact that the news has come out that the semi is ready to go. So, and we have some photos that I'll include with the show that you'll notice some of the things going on with that vehicle. So what I wanted to point out today is that, first of all, we were wrong about the semi needing its own factory immediately. It turns out that the decline in sales for both the X and S is one of the ways in which there's room to actually build, if you will, the outside body of the vehicle. What's actually going to happen is that Tesla is going to be building the outside shell of the truck in Fremont, and then they're actually going to be shipping those to Reno for the early 1 to 200 a month production run, because that's where you get drivetrain and the rest of the truck built out, and you just marry the two together to have a finished product. So, interesting development. I'm a bit surprised because, as you know, Elon Musk is a perfectionist when it comes to manufacturing. He loves using technology for efficiency and quality sense. And the fact that he wouldn't take 2 years to build a dedicated factory to the semi is a very big surprise to us, but I think it totally makes sense. So let's look at, some other things that are going on with this. Is the fact that as China production is rising currently with the Model Y, we're actually seeing a decline in the number of units that are coming off of that line. So I wanted to kind of bring this whole thing up to you because, the challenge is China is doing well, but they have a lower cost vehicle both for the Model Y and the Model 3s. And because of how good those products are, there's no need to ship from Fremont anymore, because they can easily get the vehicles they need or customers want coming out of China. And the gap between the types of vehicles don't provide a large enough run for there to be needed manufacturing going in that direction. And this is actually a very important situation, because about 20% of the production of the Model 3s and Ys were actually going to China, especially S and X for sure. So an interesting development for sure. So what else is going on that's interesting here? So the suggestion from what we read is the fact that there is a problem going on with the fact that where is this dedicated factory? And the answer right now is sort of to split production of different halves of the vehicle between the Fremont facilities and the facilities in Reno. The other component of what's going on right now is there's some decisions being made about whether or not to start building larger numbers alongside the Cybertruck in Austin. Now, I think in order to gain unit quantity for the trucks, the Austin situation actually does make sense. The problem that pops up, though, is that the distance between Austin and Reno, or Austin and Fremont, is pretty large. And it's one thing to ship cars around in that fashion and batteries and so forth in motion, but I really think they're going to end up having to build a battery factory closer to Austin, because it's really inefficient to have all those miles between different components. And where things are in Reno is subject to severe weather in terms of snow. As you'll see, there's a monster snowstorm that just hit last week, and another one that's coming through. So you'll also remember there's something called the Donner Party. So they had a wagon train that left too late out of Fremont, or out of Utah, and they were trying to bring those trains through 40 feet of snow. And the net was they didn't make it, and they had to cannibalize those that died in order to survive that time. So the point being that, hey, why have a potential giant snowstorm between you and the ability of your entities to move vehicles and elements of vehicles across that mountain range? So to further sort of move forward, again, we're shocked that Elon hasn't chosen to wait and just build a dedicated factory. But I also think that this shows us sort of a process by which there's a transition happening that Tesla's ready for. So if the decision is made to do production in one location, there is no need for them to say, hey, because this vehicle isn't built here, we just shut everything down. The answer is they have the technical expertise from Gromon Engineering to sort of rebuild the factory floor at a certain location to facilitate a transition to what makes sense. Another example of the what makes sense just-in-time process of Tesla was as he started having a pileup of Model 3s built in China, he simply put them on a boat and shipped them from China to Europe, and there's still heavy demand for it, and especially at the lower price point that the Chinese vehicle is being delivered. And this, despite the fact that the car weighs 900 pounds more, so it reduces the amount you're allowed to carry in it. And there's still heavy demand for that vehicle in Europe, which I think is really impressive. We're kind of a semi-focused channel. It really sort of got us started with a different angle look at Tesla. And we're grateful for the opportunity to actually look in and identify the fact that this vehicle is huge in its importance. And Elon finally starting production, I think, is completely amazing, much needed. And I keep thinking about the fact that there's it turns out that there's a ratio challenge, which is the semis produce 25% of all the pollution that comes from automobiles, but they only represent 20% of the vehicles on the road. So this has been a reason why we've been concentrating on any and all news that might come out. We actually were hoping that Tesla would seriously consider spinning the semi off into a separate company, facilitating the possibility that the semi could move on its own at a fast pace and not be limited by resources or time to issues affecting the rest of the company. So it might be something that we thought they might consider. I thought that would add a huge amount of value. So for now, the plan is the first sort of finish for a production vehicle is early May. We then have all the production capacity ready to go by August. And then our next step is that we end up, after August, our next step is that we actually start production. The target was the end of the year that they would be producing this. But the only concern I have about it right now is the fact that, let's say the vehicle is $250,000 and it consumes 5 battery packs. The challenge is that if you're only doing 200 units a month, think about there are vehicles within Tesla stables that are 150K, 180K. So the amount of revenue brought in by the truck, I think, is kind of small given the number of battery packs it's going to consume. So we're kind of looking forward to how exactly is this going to work out, because the way the numbers are working out don't make it a priority until it comes to scale. And we're hopeful that the space is used well that we're talking about here so that we get an optimization of what the company is doing. So it's really great to see there are a lot of options. If in fact it comes out that they're going to be scale producing by the end of the year, it's going to be huge in terms of how it affects a large number of entities, particularly competitors, etc. So we're really looking forward to this transition occurring. Wanted to get you up to speed on this news that the semi is in town. And we also want to give you a chance to see some good surfing here in San Diego. At any rate, that's our formal comments for the day. I just wanted to take some time to show you our vantage point. One of the things you'll notice is the houses out there that sit in the water almost, and there's a minimum two-night stay, but it's a totally amazing thing. And as you can see, all the surfers are ready to rumble when they can catch a wave coming in. So we're going to finish up with our usual health tips. Don't forget 25 leg lifts per leg strengthens quad muscles. Also wanted to encourage you to think about the 5-2, or another diet relative to fasting. One of the easiest ones is to only eat on half the calendar, 12 hours. The next is, don't forget, don't go to bed within 4 hours of eating, minimum 2. Let the food digest so you don't get upper respiratory cancer. Number 3 is try to maintain the same sleep schedule for a couple of weeks, because your body appreciates those circadian rhythms of routineness is helpful in your health process. And finally, prior to lovemaking, have a salad, because blood flow from your stomach will limit your enjoyment of having relations with your significant other, is another tip that I would suggest. Anyway, this is Greg for Teslafaninsight. Thanks once again for joining us. Tschüss, German, au revoir, French, Lehitro, Hebrew, Choda Hafiz, Farsi, Strazice, Russian, Konbanwa, Japanese, Namaste, Hindi, Hey Do, Swedish, G'day, Australia, and in Jamaica we say enough respect, walk good man. Thanks for joining us and have a great day, and bye for now.